when a married woman suddenly announces, "I've got a guy friend now, deal with it." She's not sharing information. She's drawing a line in the sand. And my wife, Emily, didn't just cross that line. She stomped over it with a grin. It started the way these things usually do. Little shifts. Small changes. The kind only a husband who actually pays attention would pick up on. Late-night giggles coming from her phone. Notifications she'd flip face down the second I walked into the room. A brand new lock screen code she swore she set by accident. But the moment everything truly snapped wasn't when she hid her phone. It was when she stopped hiding her attitude. That evening she came home dressed nicer than she had in months. Hair curled. Bright red lipstick. Perfume so strong it clearly wasn't sprayed for me. I was sitting at the kitchen table sorting bills when she came in, dropped her purse on the counter, and said casually, "I'm going out tomorrow. Mark and I are grabbing coffee." "Mark," I repeated. She smirked, waiting, almost hoping, for a reaction. "Yeah, my friend. My male friend. You don't need to like it. You just need to deal with it." The chill in her voice hit harder than the statement itself. It wasn't the words, it was the message behind them. She wasn't informing me. She was provoking me, testing boundaries, seeing how far she could push before I broke. I stared at her, trying to understand what version of marriage she thought we had. One where I silently watched her drift into another man's orbit. While she dared me to object, she grabbed a bottle of water, leaned against the counter, and added, "Don't start with your jealous husband drama. It's just friendship. You'll get used to it." That was it. The tone. The entitlement. The complete disregard for everything we'd built. Something inside me shifted. Not toward anger, but toward clarity. She wanted me to deal with it? Fine. I would. I stood up slowly, walked right past her without a word, and headed to our bedroom. She rolled her eyes, assuming I was sulking. She had no idea what was coming, because the first thing I reached for was her suitcase. I opened the closet and began removing her clothes. Slowly, precisely, folding each item as if every crease was its own statement. Her smirk evaporated the moment she saw the purposeful way my hands moved. "What are you doing?" she asked, trying to sound unfazed. But the edge in her voice gave her away. "I'm packing," I answered calmly, almost gently. "You've made it clear your priorities aren't here. So I'm redefining what home means." Her eyes widened. For the first time in weeks, uncertainty flickered across her face. She tried to intervene. "Daniel, wait. You're being ridiculous. I'm just seeing a friend." I kept folding shirts, rolling jeans, placing her shoes in the suitcase. With deliberate precision. Each motion slow enough for her to grasp that this wasn't rage. It was reality. "You're really doing this?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Yes," I said, placing her favorite scarf neatly on top. "You told me to deal with it." "I am. But we're doing it my way." She stepped closer, reaching to touch my arm. "Daniel, please. You're misunderstanding. He's just a friend. You're overreacting." I shook my head. "No, Emily. You're the one who understands perfectly. This is what happens when words are used to test boundaries. Instead of protect respect. I'm not reacting out of emotion. I'm acting out of truth. You drew the line, now I'm following it." Her breathing grew shallow, uneven. The smug, teasing Emily I'd been dealing with recently was gone. Now she was staring at the fallout of her own choices. Choices she assumed would scare me, silence me, or make me beg. Instead, they were making her rethink everything. I zipped up the suitcase, set it by the door, and looked her directly in the eye. "Pack anything else you want. You're leaving in the morning. I'll have a cab waiting." She staggered back, speechless. For the first time, she saw the consequences she'd ignored, and the strength she'd underestimated. I learned something then. Real confrontation doesn't always come with raised voices. Sometimes it's quiet, measured, unavoidable. The night dragged by in heavy silence. She stayed on the couch, rigid, staring at her phone, as if endless scrolling could erase what was coming. I didn't approach. I didn't explain. I just moved through the house calmly, letting the tension settle around her like a storm she couldn't outrun. Morning arrived. I heard her zip the suitcase, heard her hesitant footsteps toward the door. She paused halfway, turned to me, eyes wet with fear, regret, and confusion. "Daniel, I raised a hand, stopping her. "There's nothing left to say. Actions have consequences. You set the rules. Now you live with them." She swallowed hard, her thoughts racing for an excuse, a loophole. Anything. But I'd seen enough. The late-night texts. The secrecy. The sudden boldness. I had connected every dot. And when she realized I wasn't going to argue, but had taken control quietly, her entire posture crumbled. I walked ahead of her, opened the door, and gestured toward the waiting cab. Her suitcase rolled over the floor with a soft thud, each inch echoing the finality of what had happened. She glanced back once, searching my face for anger, desperation, something. I gave her none, only calm, unwavering certainty. When she stepped outside, I felt something unexpected, a blend of relief and loneliness. Relief because I had reclaimed my own peace. Loneliness because the person I had loved had betrayed that love so carelessly. But that emptiness didn't last, because I realized something important. Standing firm, protecting boundaries, and letting consequences unfold is real strength. That evening the house felt lighter, peaceful, clear. I poured a drink, sat at the table, and let myself breathe. Emily's challenge, "I've got a male friend now. Deal with it," had been a test, and I had answered it. Not with rage, not with shouting, but with patience, strategy, and control. Some lessons about marriage, betrayal, and respect arrive quietly, in the spaces between words. And I had learned mine. Boundaries are not optional. Trust is not flexible. And the strongest response to betrayal is often the one delivered without noise, without negotiation, without weakness. Emily walked out, and in doing so, she left me with something far more valuable than her staying ever could have given: clarity, strength, and freedom. And in that freedom, I finally exhaled,